So today, we're going to dive into the core arguments from Jonathan Haidt's really important book, The Anxious Generation. We're going to explore his case for why young people today are facing a mental health crisis that is just completely unprecedented, and what we might actually be able to do about it.
To kick things off, Haidt uses this incredible analogy. Just imagine, a billionaire comes to you and offers your child a spot on the first human settlement on Mars. It's a one-way ticket. They'd grow up in this totally artificial bubble with all their interactions happening through screens, completely cut off from the kind of physical and social world we all need to develop properly. Haidt's big argument? That's not science fiction. That's exactly what we did when we handed our kids a phone-based childhood.
And look, this trip to Mars isn't just some clever idea. The data is pretty stark. You can see it right here. There's this dramatic, almost vertical spike in anxiety and depression among teens, and it all kicks off right around 2010 to 2012. And what happened then? Well, that's precisely when social media moved from our desktops onto our smartphones, and high-speed internet went everywhere. It's the moment the mental health of an entire generation just took a nosedive.
So what's at the very core of this whole thing? Haidt calls it the Great Rewiring. The idea is that in just a few short years, we saw this massive, fundamental shift away from something humans have had forever, a play-based childhood, to something totally new, a phone-based one. And what this did, really, was create these two totally different worlds for kids to grow up in. On one hand, you have the play-based childhood. It's all about the real world, right? Unsupervised play, face-to-face interaction, making little mistakes that don't cost you much, building real relationships. But the phone-based world, that's a whole other story. It's disembodied. It's run by algorithms. A single mistake can go viral, and a lot of the relationships can feel pretty superficial and disposable. So here's Haidt's diagnosis in a nutshell. We basically made two huge mistakes, and we made them at the exact same time. We got obsessed with overprotecting our kids in the real world, while at the same time, we completely underprotected them in the virtual one. All right, let's dig into that first mistake, the danger of overprotection. I mean, what's so bad about wanting to keep our kids as safe as possible? Well, as it turns out, it can do a lot of harm. To get this, you have to understand a really cool concept called antifragility. It's this idea that some things actually get stronger from stress. Think about a tree growing in a biodome with no wind. It might look tall and healthy, but without any wind to push against, it never develops strong stress wood. The first real storm that comes along just knocks it right over. Kids are the same. They need to face small stressors, a scraped knee, a silly argument with a friend, to build up their psychological immune systems and become resilient. And you know what? Kids are actually hardwired for this stuff. Climbing trees, swinging super high, wrestling, even just exploring the neighborhood by themselves. This isn't just them being reckless, it's their brain's natural, built-in program for learning how to manage risk, overcome fear, and become competent adults. So when we strip away all these little challenges, we're basically robbing them of the chance to practice flipping that switch in their brain from defend mode, which is all about being anxious and cautious, to discover mode, where they're open and curious. If they never get practice managing small risks, their brain can get stuck on defend, and that can lead to chronic anxiety. Okay, now for the other shoe to drop. At the exact same time we were bubble wrapping their physical world, we handed our kids a portal to a completely unfiltered, unregulated digital universe, a place Haidt calls the virtual Wild West. And this is super important. These apps aren't just innocent digital playgrounds. No, they are meticulously engineered using powerful psychological principles, like what's called the hooked model. It starts with a trigger. Maybe you're bored or lonely. That leads to an action, opening the app and scrolling. Then comes the variable reward, that unpredictable little hit of dopamine you get from a like or a new comment. This is all by design, created to hook you and maximize your time on the screen. And the fallout from this design? Well, it's a whole list of documented harms that directly affect mental health. We're talking social deprivation, because kids are hanging out less in person, sleep deprivation from phones buzzing in their bedrooms all night long, fragmented attention because of the constant pings and notifications, and of course, this relentless social comparison, where every aspect of your life feels like a performance for an audience. Okay, so this begs the question, right? If all this is so clear, why don't parents just, take the phone away, say no? Well, as Haidt points out, it is nowhere near that simple. The reason it's so tough is because of something called a collective action problem. Think about it. If you're the only parent who holds out and doesn't give your kid a smartphone, you're terrified they're going to be socially isolated, completely left out. So a choice that feels totally rational for one family, I don't want my kid to be the odd one out, ends up creating a terrible situation for all the families.
But here's the thing. Haidt says we shouldn't despair. In fact, seeing it as a collective action problem is the key to fixing it. Because if the problem is collective, then the solution has to be collective too.
So what does he propose? 4 really straightforward, common sense norms. These aren't complicated laws. They're just simple shifts that parents, schools, and whole communities can decide to adopt together to change the environment for every kid at the same time.
All right, number 1, no smartphones before high school. Let's give them basic phones. You know, flip phones that just call and text. This protects those incredibly vulnerable middle school years from all the addictive designs and social pressures that come with a smartphone.
Number 2, no social media before you're 16. The idea here is to let the teenage brain get through its most sensitive developmental phase before it gets thrown into the world of performance, comparison, and addiction that defines these platforms. And yeah, this means we need tech companies to actually verify ages. Number 3, phone-free schools. I mean, from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave, phones are just gone. They're in lockers or pouches. This creates a sanctuary where kids can actually focus, where they're free from distraction, and this is huge, where they can actually talk to each other face-to-face at lunch and during breaks. And finally, number 4. We have to bring back unsupervised play and independence. This is about actively reviving a culture where it's normal for kids to go outside, explore, and figure out their own little conflicts without an adult stepping in every 5 seconds. We need to give them the freedom they need to become capable, confident, and anti-fragile.
So in the end, this whole argument isn't about being anti-tech, right? It's about being pro-childhood. And the real question Haidt leaves us with is a big one. If we've accidentally sent an entire generation to grow up on a virtual Mars, how do we, together, finally bring childhood back down to Earth?